He's probably just about ready, Kieran.
Hey, I'm not quite sure I'm ready yet. I think I might need a little bit more breaking in. Please don't go in yet, please.
I think you're right. Let's see. I'll give this a try.
Why is no one listening to me? I said I'm not ready, Kieran! Sabre, listen!
Tight.
You bet your ass I'm tight. You didn't break me in enough. Hi guys, I just want to take a second to thank all my patrons here who have donated to me. No matter how much they've donated to me, it really means a lot to me. And if you guys want, you can check out my Patreon and help support me continue to make yaoi videos. Thanks guys. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Chess of Blades. In the last episode, Rivian, he got totally cornered in his room by Sabre and Kieran, just both of them together. I was just joking, but apparently they're really gonna give it to Rivian together, and this is too much for me. Does it make me a harlot to say that I don't really mind this at all? Sure, I'm usually a traditionalist about monogamy and all that, but the fact that the both of them are wholly focused on me? Well, let's just say that it soothes the wounded pride I was nursing earlier. I part my lips to let Kieran's tongue dart inside, twirling my own against it, and let my hands wander over his exquisitely carved abdomen in the meanwhile. Behind me, Sabre starts to impatiently cover the nape of my neck with kisses, his mouth warm and hot as it wanders up to my ear, where he takes the lobe between his teeth with a sharp nip. Oh god. When Kieran eventually breaks off the kiss, I'm pulled over to the bed by the two pair of strong hands. And those hands immediately get to work on stripping me of my clothing so expeditiously that I am completely nude before I know it.
Come on now, 2 against 1 isn't fair. Kieran's already half naked, but you both still need to strip.
As you command, my liege.
Sounding all too happy to comply with my embarrassed accusation, Sabre throws off his coat and starts to work off his pants. I mean, imagine if you were actually Rivian and you're in Rivian's position, and this one sweaty Scottishman you don't really know that well that has accosted you before, and this other guy that you don't know at all just suddenly tried to fuck you in your room. Like, I wouldn't go along with it. Kieran does the same, pulling off his bits of armor and beaming eagerly as he slides out of his trousers. It's hard not to be in awe of the two fighters' wonderfully built forms, which are like works of art in their own ways. Of course, it's incredibly intimidating too, especially when my eyes take in the sight of their hardening shafts. Damn it, there goes my inferiority complex again. Fortunately, it's not enough to diminish the heat spreading between my own legs. Aw, poor Rivian has tiny shaft.
This is a fitting time you thank your rescuers, Rivian.
Sabre, who's sitting on his haunches, reaches out to pull me forward into another kiss. His powerful arms are warm and comforting as they wrap rather possessively around my body. The sensation starts to make me relax before I know it, and I lean against his scarred chest without hesitation. Behind me, something hot suddenly starts to drag wetly across my back. I realize it's Kieran's tongue, teasing out my spine and towards my bare shoulders, exploring me impatiently. The sweet sensations make me tremble and whimper softly against Sabre's lips. Just dealing with one or the other is overwhelming enough. I don't even know if I can handle getting greedily shared by both of them. Sabre pulls back from the kiss, just enough to lick beneath my jaw, his teeth pressing against my neck a moment later in a rough bite. As if on cue, Kieran's hands slip under my chest at the same time. His fingers wander upwards, finding the tender pink buds there and starting to tease and caress them. This is going to drive me mad. I'm already painfully hard, and I can feel sticky moisture overflowing and dripping down the sides of my own length. Eventually, Sabre and Kieran slow their movements to a halt, and I'm nestled between their perspiration-streaked bodies as they cling to me tightly. Their heavy breathing fills my ears, the heavy breathing that fills my ears is somehow deeply comforting, and I feel as safe as I can possibly be whilst being surrounded by two powerful pairs of arms. All the stress and tension from the evening soon overwhelms me at last, forming a thorough exhaustion that soaks me into unconsciousness. The next morning, my carriage arrived at the gates, beckoning me home. Okay, I guess YouTube is back now. Welcome back, guys. I did not realize that God, it's like every time I start joking, it actually comes true. Like, I was just saying that, like, I was saying how we might have a threesome with Kiran, and I was just joking, but it actually happened. And I was saying how we're gonna get spit roasted and double penetrated by the two of them, and it actually happened, and it's just like, he's just one boy, you can't do this to him. I don't know, I don't know. The next morning, my carriage arrived at the gates, beckoning me home. I had to be carried to it on a stretcher. They just destroyed me the night before. I couldn't walk. I can't remember having to ever say as difficult goodbyes as the ones I said to Sabre and Kiran. The three of us shared a long embrace, and I didn't want the long moments I spent between their arms to ever end. Sabre's expression in particular broke my heart. He smiled down at me with the look of a man trying to act happy, but I could tell he was loath to separate as I was. We promised each other we'd meet again someday. I told him where my family's manor was, and he made note of it, and yet, when I brought up the prospect of visiting, he seemed embarrassed, almost guilty at the very idea. Yeah, because he has common sense! Like, I've already explained this, but sweaty Scottish man that's like in his 30s can't visit, you know, cute white blonde twink, you know, at his villa, you know, it's just really weird. I figure it's because of his involvement with the disciples. I don't think that's why, which he explained to me earlier in the morning. He had been drawn to them because of his bitter feelings about the king and his court, all of whom had treated him like some sort of exotic attraction rather than a human being. Aren't you exoticizing yourself with that fake accent? That sounds like a you problem, Sabre. Okay. The disciples promised a way to gain revenge, which is why he kidnapped Hazel to try and get leverage over the king. And wow, if that isn't some, you know, crazy SJW, sort of, or maybe Antifa sort of, methodology. I mean, just absolutely fucking going ahead and planning to kill Hazel just because you get exoticized. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Not enough to kill someone, I don't think. Sabre refused to explain why he took her specifically, but he seemed thoroughly ashamed of himself for ever committing the act in the first place. I think his guiltiness is eating away at him, and he won't be happy with himself until he finds redemption in some way or another. As sad as it makes me, I realize I can't stop him from searching for that, wherever such a path may take him. But there's no way I'll ever forget his tiger-like smile, or when he first embraced me in that storage room, and especially not when he used me as a makeshift weapon. I'm grateful I could meet someone so special, even if it was under such strange circumstances. And as I gazed out the carriage window on the long path home, I thought to myself that perhaps parties weren't so bad after all. You might get fucked at one. You might get double penetrated. Who's Sarah? My sister or something? From the hallway outside my room, I hear the voice of our family maid. No, of course, our family maid. She's probably delivering some kind of scolding message from father. I'll just pretend I didn't hear. I return my attention to the book currently in my hands, flipping through the pages while admiring the leather cover. On the brain, the heart, and the connection to the soul. What is this? Some kind of chicken soup for the soul? Is that what you do in your spare time, Rivian? You're really boring. Okay. A fascinating new connection of science and philosophy, really. I can't tear myself away from it. Oh my god, it does sound like chicken soup for the soul.
Hello?
A soft knock comes on my door. I guess I'm not going to get out of this one, am I? Reluctantly, I put the tome down on my seat and shuffle over to the door.
Hello, sir. I just wanted to inform you the bookbinder you hired has arrived. Your father was most pleased that you decided to learn such a valuable trade as a hobby. He really thinks.
Aren't we upper class aristocrats? Why would we be learning trades? Shouldn't we just be living on our dividends and our immense fortune, the interest from it?
Bookbinder? I didn't hire any book.
I freeze, scrunching up my nose in confusion. What on earth?
Well, send them up, I suppose. Thank you, Sarah.
She nods and turns to trot down the hall after a short curtsy. What if it's just fucking Kiran who shows up and is like, he wants another quick fuck? Really though, what's with this bookbinding business? Although now that I think of it, it would be quite fun to learn how to bind books. I'm around them all day anyhow, so it'd be a fitting pastime. I decide to just leave the door open and stroll back into my room, letting out a long yawn and stretching my arm out over my head. If father's paying for it, might as well take advantage of some tutelage. Maybe then he'll stop badgering me about becoming a diplomat. Just as I start to lower myself back down into my chair, the sound of thudding footsteps from the hallway reaches my ears. I jump back up, smoothing out my clothing, trying to look as professional as possible for the new arrival. And then I see the person who steps through my doorway. My jaw practically hits the floor.
Say,
My whole quivers just at the sight of him. A weak voice spills from my lips. For a long few moments, I stare across the room at a remarkably tall, ginger-haired, well-dressed and professional-looking man, who without a doubt is the same one I met a year ago at the king's birthday celebration.
Rivian, you're even more adorable than I remember.
As if a spell was suddenly broken, we both rush forward and I throw myself into his arms. He picks me up off the ground like a kitten, but I'm far too overwhelmed with joy to care one bit. Instead, I just hug him as tightly as I can possibly manage, gazing down with disbelief at his handsome features.
You big dolt! I thought you'd forgotten all about me. Why didn't you at least send a letter?
Sabre chuckles as I bang a fist against his broad, muscular chest, swallowing back the lump that forms in my throat. He squeezes me so hard in his arms that I almost lose my breath for a second.
How could I? I wanted to surprise you. It'd be ruined if I updated you on my progress all the way. Although I've been missing you something terrible.
His fingers drift through my hair, cradling the back of my head. That gentle touch immediately makes all the memories from last year flood back to me, and I struggle to keep a modicum of composure.
You're a bookbinder now? And you're going to teach me the craft? Is this a dream?
Look at how cute he looks. Aw, look at Rivian's twink face. Aw.
It's no dream. I'm just following in my father's footsteps. After I returned home for the first time since the king took me away as a boy, my old man could hardly believe his eyes.
Can I ask you to please keep talking in your accent? I mean, that's sort of why I was attracted to you in the first place.
I thought I'd never be good at anything else, besides fighting. But father told me he'd always wanted to mentor me in his craft. He never got a chance. But now that His Majesty let me go, I can finally learn an honest trade.
Yeah, honestly, if you don't start talking your accent, I don't think I'm really going to be that into this. He lets a loose, warm sigh, squeezing me as if trying to reassure himself that I'm real.
I'm still studying the arts to try and master it, but I've learnt enough to start teaching it myself. And what better pupil than a cute little peacock like you?
I thud my fist on Sabre's chest again and is teasing, to which he grins broadly and presses his lips to my cheek. Of course, after some tears and much-needed kisses, I make him explain his journeys and decisions to return home in full detail, including how he gave up being a fighter. The ever-shrewd Linnaeus probably guessed Sabre's feelings and the backstory we neglected to tell him because he recommended the king that Sabre be released from his gladiatorial position. Despite his natural talent for fighting, it's clear that Sabre hated being forced into it. Wait, he was forced to fight? I thought he did it because he had fun. He seems so much happier now. Just hearing the gentle rumble of his voice fills me with a pure delight that I didn't know was possible. Maybe now I understand a little bit why he was angry at the king if he was being forced to fight. Finally, I make him promise to visit me every day and agree to start visiting his own house on the outskirt on the capital as well. There's no way I intend to let go of Sabre again. Much to my relief, he seems to feel the same, because he was so reluctant to leave my side that I had to practically shove him out of the door that night. I waved to him all the way until he and his horse disappeared around a hill, and even then I remained standing at the threshold, smiling blissfully up at the starry sky. Even if my life never gets as exciting as it was at that celebration again, rife with plots, assassins, and intrigue, I think I'll be perfectly happy just like this. After all, that business is better left to the nobles, who don't have a tendency to fall for rustic fighters turned bookbinders. And after today, I think I can safely say that I've left the category far, far behind. Is it over? Silly little peacock achievement. Wow, guys, we did it. Well, that was, a really exciting sex scene. I don't think, it truly makes sense that Chiron got involved. That was really weird. I mean, sure, he was hot and I wanted it, but it really didn't make any sense. Rivian barely knew Chiron. He didn't even know Sabre that well, but he didn't know Chiron, like, at all. It didn't really make any sense, but I mean, it's what happened, so... yeah, but I think I really like that route. I mean, his route, I think, was a bit shorter than everyone else's will be. I'm pretty sure Linnaeus and Arden's will be a lot longer, I think. But, yeah, I was surprised by how long it was, honestly, since I thought it was just going to be a short, you get fucked by Sabre route. But, I guess next time I'll be coming back with Linnaeus? No, Franz's route. Yeah, Franz's route is coming up next. And I'm not that excited for him. You guys know how I feel about those daddy types. Just not into them. But, I'm sure a lot of you guys will be pretty into Franz, and you're pretty excited for that. But as long as I keep Linnaeus in my mind, I'll be able to force my way past, Franz's routes. So, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sure YouTube had a terribly short episode. Like, I'm sure it was horribly short for you guys. Probably, like, 15-20 minutes max. But, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Chess of Blades. Bye, guys!